Driving me crazy.
It's driving me crazy.
It's driving me crazy.
It's driving me crazy.
That's how many folks feel about rough roads in central Georgia. From deep potholes, windy roads, to heavy traffic. We've reported a lot of your complaints.
Very few cars were on the highway, and now it's just booming.
That's about true for most places in central Georgia, but that means more drivers and more spots that are driving people crazy.
Kind of become a nightmare.
We'll recap the roads and interstates that raised concerns this year and share updates on whether they've been fixed or if they continue to drive you crazy. Hello and thanks for joining us. We're at the center of it all here in central Georgia, literally. Interstates and highways connect us to major cities on all four corners, and I-75 brings millions of travelers through the area yearly. There's a lot to like about our location, but getting from place to place in some spots can drive you crazy. There's a lot happening on our roadways, too many crashes and deaths, but also some big projects like the construction of I-16 and I-75 set to be completed in 2030, according to GDOT. State routes, local intersections, and winding back roads are in need of repair, and folks who have lived here their whole lives are now dealing with roads in disrepair. We're taking a spin along the busy roads, dangerous intersections, and other problem spots that are driving you crazy. And we've got some updates on these projects so you'll know where things are looking better. Let's start with a portion of interstate that many people take to get to where they need to go. Interstate 75 near Sardis Church Road in Byron. Since our story aired, roads were repaved and completed by mid-June. Fariha Abra recaps how the bumpy roads drove some people crazy.
My name is Elva Barksdale. I live in Byron, Georgia. I-75 South, I-75 North is driving me crazy.
Elva Barksdale is a two-time breast cancer survivor. These days, she's making her regular commutes from Byron to Macon for errands, church, and doctor visits.
Because I have appointments there. I'm usually going to church on Sunday, and the commute is just awful.
Awful because
It's uneven. It's going to be bumpy still because there's not that smooth asphalt that's laid down.
Highway is so messed up. It's really, really messed up. It's got holes in it. There's potholes and uneven cement, like splotches of whatever you call it, black stuff.
even Barksdale's car lets her know that there's a problem.
My light came on and I had to go over to get it, and all four of them had to have air in them. I'm surprised because I never have to have air in my tires. So I know it's the highway.
Barksdale says she's lived in central Georgia for decades and says it was never like this until a few years ago.
Very few cars were on the highway, and now it's just booming. But here it is the worst, and they should be ashamed of themselves.
It's unfortunate right now that it's, like this, but by the end of May, for the summer, it'll be all smooth sailing.
Road signs between the Sardis Church Road and Byron exits label it a construction zone. Gina Snyder from the Georgia Department of Transportation says the project gets held up whenever there's rain or cold weather, but she says contractors are working on it.
Anytime between 7 p.m. and 4 a.m.
And I see a sign that says working closed at 8 o'clock, but I see no people out there.
Barksdale and a lot of drivers demand action.
And it's really dangerous. It's just dangerous, and it's been like that over a year. And I'm sick and tired of it, and I know everybody else is.
Some folks still complain about the middle lane driving northbound past Byron exit 149, but there's no plans from GDOT about fixing that. Here are some tips when you're driving in a construction zone. Stay alert and minimize distractions. Avoid changing the radio or using cell phones or other devices. Do not slow down to look at road work. Keep a safe distance between you and the car ahead of you and between you and the construction workers and their equipment. Expect the unexpected. Things may change quickly with speed limits and traffic lanes. And lastly, obey the rules of work zones and be aware of construction vehicles entering or exiting the roadway. And a reminder to move over when you see utility or emergency vehicles stopped on the side of the highway when they're operating in an official capacity. That includes GDOT vehicles, first responders, and hero units responding to accidents. The state's move over law has been in effect since 2003. If you don't follow the law, the fine in Georgia can be up to $500. If it's not safe to move over, the law says drivers must slow down below the posted speed limit and be prepared to stop. Almost 1 year later, and getting to Veterans High School is still a problem for some drivers and walkers. Neighbors are frustrated students have to run across a busy street to get to class on time and in one piece. Faria spoke with them 2 separate times about why an intersection is still driving them crazy.
Kind of become a nightmare.
Last time I came to Veterans High School, I showed you teenagers risking their lives cutting across a 3-lane road to get to school. Since then, there's been no visible progress, but there have been several accidents.
Last Friday, I paid my truck off, and then, of course, a week ago Monday, I was in an accident here.
And just before John Snipes' crash, Larry Clark's son got into a wreck that totaled his brand new car.
He was hit by a GMC truck and he was driving a Honda Civic. His car didn't handle it well, but the car served a purpose. It protected my baby, so.
In August, Rebecca Eshelman reached out, frustrated her granddaughters were dodging traffic to get to school.
When it's cold like this in the mornings, their mother takes them to school.
Usually, Grandma says they walk or sprint across Old Perry Road like you see here to get to school in one piece.
So she does that each morning and each afternoon, every day, school days.
Kids have to walk to school. Everybody's not fortunate enough to be able to even drive. The car protected my son, but a walker, they don't have anything to protect them. They're carrying their book bags. 9 times out of 10, they probably have their music going. And they're just being kids walking across the street to get to school. And if they get hit, it's nothing to protect them.
Not only did I see photos of the neighbors' wrecks, but as soon as I got there, I also saw people drive past a stopped school bus.
And people coming this way ignored the bus stop sign. They ran it, 2 of them ran it. My daughter's on the other side blowing the horn for them to stop, and they just keep going by. I mean, there's no patrolling, no control whatsoever out here to stop this.
There's been many accidents happen, and it's a telltale sign that we need to do something before somebody gets seriously hurt.
Just these crosswalk signs, it needs to be danger zone signs, because this is how dangerous it is here for these children.
We shouldn't have to wait for one of our children to be seriously injured or for one of our neighbors to be seriously injured. We shouldn't have to wait for that, for them to make changes.
Unfortunately, those neighbors will still be waiting for a change. No flashing lights or crossing guard are planned to help slow drivers in the school zone. The county told us they did road assessments and determined there was no need for any changes. Now, Faria mentioned seeing people drive past a stopped school bus. A 2024 state law increased the minimum fine for drivers who illegally do that. Addie's law bumped the minimum fine up to $1,000. Georgia is one of 2 states with the highest minimum fine. Most states have a minimum of $250 or $500. On a 2-lane road, vehicles traveling in both directions must stop when a school bus has a stop arm and stop lights activated. The same rules apply on a multi-lane road that's paved across. On a divided highway with a dirt, grass, or concrete median, vehicles behind a school bus must stop, but vehicles traveling in the opposite direction do not have to. And when you see flashing lights and a speed limit sign, slow down because you're in an active school zone. Cameras are set up to enforce the speed limit on school days when classes are in session. That's 1 hour before the start of school until 1 hour after dismissal. And if you don't follow the speed limit, you may get a ticket and have to pay a fine. And where does that money go after you pay the fine? Well, in Macon, commissioners sent more than $3 million of ticket money back to Bibb County schools. $300,000 will help fund more crossing guards. More than $2 million will buy more flock surveillance cameras, and $500,000 will keep the flashing school zones lights on. In Dodge County, some commuters often travel through what they call a bad curve that causes visibility problems. Faria took a trip to Greston to hear some suggestions about what can be done to fix it.
I'm Shelby Bennett. I'm from Dodge County, and the bad curve was driving me crazy.
At first glance, the road appears fine as we're driving southeast on Cochran Highway, but as we get close to some of these businesses, we get to what the locals call the bad curve.
1 minute you're going slow, and the next minute you're going fast.
Shelby Bennett's lived in Dodge County since she was 11, and this month she turns 27. She's used to the roads around here because she works on Cochran Highway, but she says this bend that she drives on every day has a visibility problem.
So that could be a little dangerous for people that don't know this highway, you know.
Around these parts of Greston,
We're a small community here, and a lot of people, they come to the store or the Dollar General, they're on their buggy, they're on their four-wheeler, you know, their dirt bike, you know, just having fun.
the speed limit on Cochran Highway is 55 miles an hour. Then it slows down to 45 as you approach the bad curve. But Bennett says she doesn't see many drivers slow down.
Well, a lot of older people, they don't want to speed. They don't like speeding. And then somebody just will fly by them, you know, and it startles them.
Since the state recently finished some construction expanding the highway, Bennett says the roads,
it's just more safer. Now that there's a 4-lane, it's easier for people that drive faster or drive slower. You know, they can pass them and go about their day.
But she also says there's still room for improvement.
You know, if somebody's trying to go straight across and they don't see anybody coming, if that sign was there.
Bennett says she'd feel safer driving through with more signals and signs.
A caution light lets people know, hey, there's an intersection coming up that could be dangerous, so it lets you know to slow down instead of somebody just speeding through. There's people coming from left or right, you know, at all times. Maybe a caution light would help, or maybe more signs letting you know that there's a turn there. And when people are riding fast through here, you know, you never know when someone could get hit or, you know, anything like that.
We reached out to Dodge County Public Works about some of Bennett's concerns. County Manager Connor Bearden told us they're planning to reduce the speed limit to 45 miles per hour for the entire roadway once construction is complete and GDOT approves. In a statement, he says, I am confident GDOT District 2 engineers have designed the roadway to be safe and have considered all traffic data in order to mitigate potential vehicle collisions and ensure pedestrian safety. If you live in South Bibb, you might understand the concerns you've heard about from a woman living on Holly Place. The Adaires moved in 2000, and now their grandchildren drop in a lot. As Faria reports, neighbors say some problems around their property are driving them crazy.
My name is Margie Adair. I live in South Bibb, and this road, Holly Place, is driving me crazy.
Now, the Adaires tell us they love the South Bibb home that they've had for 24 years, but they're not fond of some of the problems around their property.
Look at this road. This been like this since I've been here. This have got worse.
Adair's kept a record of her grievances with the road.
It's fluid so bad that you won't even see the road.
They avoid the rougher edges of the street when they make their way in and out of the driveway.
I said, this road needs to be paved. To cut this out and fix it, look how ragged this road is.
And Margie says she's flagged down contractors when she sees them in the area.
Only thing I've seen, they came out and put 2 scoops, and this all been did right here.
The potholes are directly in front of their home, next to the splotchy pavement.
It's gonna get worse because look at all this is gonna start peeling off.
And bad weather doesn't help.
And this ditch be so full, it has almost overflowed.
Behind the Adair's backyard is a 3-way intersection where the runoff water drains.
And water come down from Porter School, down between my house, right here, and overflow right here. That parking lot gets so full, it come down inside that fence, come in my backyard, this come all the way around Lawrence Drive. And behind my shed, the water comes straight down.
A few years ago,
I lost the oak tree and I lost my cherry tree, too much water. It just rotted from so much water in the back. We can't go in the back when it's rain.
And they made some discoveries too, both bad.
It done made a trench.
And good.
I had some rocks in the back was buried, so we just dug them up and put them back on top of the ground. Those line of bricks was buried from so much water for 24 years.
Margie says she's gone
back and forth trying to get some kind of solution for the water.
But when she seeks answers,
And the board of education said there's nothing they can do. But there's a big ditch in front of Porter. That water needs to go that way.
Now the Adaires are fed up and time's ticking.
It ain't been paid in 24 years.
We recently spoke with Adair, who told us she did see the county come out the day after our story aired. She said they checked it out and made a small patch on the road. The flooding issue continues.
Few will slow down, and that's only because they see me backing out.
The speeders on Pine Forest Road are driving Tabitha Preston crazy. Though the county addressed the issue, Preston and neighbors say speeders still pose problems. We'll tell you all about it next. If you live in a neighborhood that connects two main roads, you might relate to the concerns of Tabitha Preston. The Prestons have lived in Macon their whole lives and on Pine Forest Road for 30 years. As Faria Abra shows us, this isn't the first time they've reached out to raise concerns about the road.
My name is Tabitha Preston. I live in Macon, Georgia, and Pine Forest Road is driving me crazy.
Most of us enjoy breathing in the crisp air on early fall mornings, but the Prestons hold their breath just to leave.
I have a dangerous driveway.
Over the hills.
They're afraid to back out.
And through Pine Forest Road.
They do not slow down, no.
Is the Prestons' property, home for nearly 30 years.
There's a family that walks their children to the bus stop. We have no sidewalk. I have to move over to allow them to walk. But the cars, they don't stop. They just keep going.
Speeding cars, raising safety concerns for people on this road.
Me and my neighbor, we both call. She'll call, I'll call, she'll call, I'll call. And nothing has happened.
About a decade ago, they got Public Works to scope out the area and request this blind driveway sign.
And when they came out, they saw that it was a need for it.
Although it's there, Preston says drivers,
they don't pay it any attention. I said they may not even know it's there. Very few will slow down, and that's only because they see me backing out and they coming over the hill slowly. But the speeders, they don't pay attention.
At the edge of the street, the Prestons and their visitors are on edge.
You know, a lot of people are like, your driveway is too dangerous. I'm gonna park at the end. Can you just run out and bring me whatever? But they really refuses to pull up in the driveway. Sometimes we have to stand at the top of the hill to monitor to make sure there's no vehicles coming so our visitors can back out.
Sitting tight.
Because of the speeding cars.
And holding off.
Right, like now, they don't wait, they just go. You don't know when to back out. And sometimes it takes a minute because cars are coming from both ends.
Frozen in suspense.
I've been calling to get speed bumps just so it'll be safer.
Gearing up for the worst.
Am I going to be in the wrong if I pull out and collide with another vehicle, or are they going to blame me? Am I going to receive a ticket? But most of all, I don't want to tear up my car.
The easy, simple explanation, they would.
Corporal James Lim from the Bibb County Sheriff's Office Heat Unit weighed in on the Prestons' worries.
This is a straightaway. There's no stop sign, no yield sign, no anything. Traffic that's moving has the right of way. If you're backing out into a roadway, you have to make the decision on when it's clear and you have enough time for you to back out. Otherwise, you're going to be placed at fault for the accident.
To better gauge the Prestons' concerns, we let Litton's lidar gun provide proof.
Once I pull this trigger, it locks whatever speed they're doing at that particular time.
But not for ticketing purposes.
Speeding. 41.
With the naked eye, Litton says you can spot a speeder here.
A moped only goes about 25 miles an hour. It looks like a vehicle is traveling faster than a moped.
And he's going to clock it.
Speeder.
Like he had
52.
to during this shoot.
And I want to go get this one.
I've been calling to get speed bumps just so it'll be safer.
That would impede traffic flow a great deal. Would it help? It probably would.
In the meantime, the Prestons are waiting to breathe a sigh of relief.
Now, since our coverage, Macon Bibb County put up 2 signs that tell drivers to slow down if they're driving over 25 miles per hour.
I mean, that does damage to cars, tires especially, and they're not cheap to get fixed.
Karen Gray babysits her grandchildren in Forsyth during the week at her daughter's house on Montpelier Avenue. She said next to their home is a road with several damaged spots. The biggest problem, a hydrant-sized pothole. Gray says it was never a problem until construction on the road started a couple of months ago. She's hoping for a more permanent solution instead of the gravel refills.
Come out and work and do their work. It's just the more cars that drive over it, the more the gravel and stuff gets knocked out. It just needs to be filled more often or something a little more permanent.
Over the summer, the city of Forsyth announced it's using more than $2 million from SPLOST funds to resurface, widen, and add better drainage to 1 mile of Montpelier. The city placed a steel plate over the road cut until repairs can be completed. Construction should be completed on the road by the end of next year. A business owner says construction on Highway 247 has affected his business and anyone making a pit stop there. Coming up, we'll hear how it's driving Jeremy Pitts crazy. Highway 247's had active construction work happening since February of 2023. That's according to GDOT. It's all located at the intersection of Broadway, Houston Avenue, Pionona, and Highway 41. One business owner says since the beginning of 2024 that roundabout construction started to affect him and anyone else who makes a pit stop there, and it's driving him crazy.
My name is Jeremy Pitts. I own a business here in Macon, and the construction on 247 is driving me crazy. We get customers here all the time. If they do make it here, most of the time, they let you know, hey, it was kind of difficult to get here. I'm like, there's nothing I can do about it, unfortunately, but like I said, hopefully maybe when they get done, it'll be a little bit better.
I'm driving south on Broadway, which is the same way most of the customers who go to Swamp Donkey Off-Road take to get to the store. It's right over there on my left, but we can't get there from here. Instead, I have to keep driving further south on Highway 247.
Take the exit towards State Highway 11 North, then sharp left onto State Highway 11 North.
And for about a mile, while merging through 3 lanes of traffic, so that I'm in the rightmost lane.
Then your destination will be on the right.
But Pitt says it wasn't always this hard to get to the store.
You know, some days they have a lane closure, and we have to drive down there and turn around. It takes my techs, 20, 30 minutes to go on a test drive because they get stuck in traffic. There's a dirt road right over here. You used to be able to come down Broadway, and then you could ride the dirt access road over. But for probably the last 8 or 9 months, it's been inaccessible.
Inaccessible because he says the contractors are
stacking dirt and stuff over here on that access road. So right now they got a little orange thing out in the middle of it, but like I said, that used to be an actual road that went right there.
When you do end up squeezing through the cones, you're greeted by potholes, uneven pavement, and a whole lot of dirt. Before they start any projects, GDOT sends out representatives to talk to people in the community.
Word for word what he described to you was, this is what it's going to look like. It's not really going to affect you because most of the work's going to be done kind of down the road from you. They're like, so mainly we just need access to be able to drive, maybe a truck or something like that on the right of way. That was his big thing is, it wouldn't really be a big issue for me because it was supposed to be down the road from me.
But Pitt says it's been far worse than that.
They replaced that sewer line, they've replaced gas lines, they've had to replace fiber optic cables that they drilled into, and all that's been straight through the middle of my front parking lot.
And when it rains,
before we open one morning at 8:30,
it pours.
That's another way showing how it damages the parking lot because that end used to have asphalt on it, now it don't from all the water that runs down it.
Not only did recent heavy storms flood the parking lot, it swamped the inside of Pitt's store. He notified his GDOT contact immediately.
That was their way of, that was their solution for the flooding.
Now, this line marks another problem for Pitts.
They drew a white line. Oh, so it's right there.
After the roundabout construction is complete, Pitts says he was told,
all they're going to fix is just that spot out to that white line. Everything else is private property. Everything on this side, they're not going to touch.
He says he expected some disruption from construction, but not to this extent. At this point, he just wants the contractors to repair the problems he says they created, although that doesn't always go as planned either.
Appreciate them trying to sweep out all the dirt whenever it comes here, but at the same time, every time you do that, it also damages the parking lot.
Repairs to the property were completed within a few weeks of our story airing, but of course, the roundabout construction persists. It's still difficult for people to access Pitt's business the same way as before. There should be easier access once construction's done in spring of 2025. Currently, there are more than 500 roundabouts in Georgia, with more to come. There are about 10,000 across the United States. More cities and counties are installing them because they reduce crashes and slow down traffic. Now, it may look difficult to navigate a roundabout, but GDOT lists 4 simple steps to safely make it through one. First, before you enter, get in the correct lane and slow down. Once you enter the roundabout, yield to traffic already in the circle. Look left and then center to see if there's a safe distance for you to start driving. If there's no one there, drive counterclockwise and don't stop. You have the right of way. For 8 years, drivers have seen orange barrels, construction equipment, and signs on I-16 and I-75. It all goes back to the interchange project that started in 2017. The $500 million mega project will widen and reconstruct the I-75, I-16 interchange. Because it's such a big project, GDOT broke construction up into 6 phases. Phase 1 through 3 are set to be completed in 2025. Phases 4 and 5 by 2026. And in Phase 6, crews will make capacity improvements from the I-16 interchange to Pierce Avenue. Those improvements are expected to come next year. Last year, GDOT told us all construction should be done by 2030. We want to hear about the roads in Central Georgia that are driving you crazy, from navigating deep potholes, bad curves, to construction blocking a road or business. Send us your concerns to news@13wmaz.com. Thanks for joining this special edition of Driving Me Crazy, only on 13WMAZ+. Continue to stream with us for more news and weather.